So actually, when she introduced me as a blockchain leader, I did try to build a business over 5 years on blockchain, didn't really succeed. Although we did implement between one bank in India to a bank in Singapore, Forex settlements, which was our primary use case on the Ripple pipeline. The mission is to empower investor success. The whole company started about 40 years ago in making mutual funds more transparent. And now mutual funds are a very complex product. Sometimes they even have super funds, which are fund of funds, and then ultimately investing in the stocks, which need to be brought out appropriately, rated appropriately, so that you can compare which funds you'd like to invest with. And the prospectus are also becoming very, very complicated. So we have a lot of brands and companies. We have IPO-centric data or pre-IPO-centric companies, which is called PitchBook. Here we collect all the startup-related data all around the world and provide that to our clients to do analysis on the startup-centric activity. I already talked about the funds. We also have the whole equity data. We have the ESG data, which is getting more and more popular these days, where you rate a company based upon their environment, on their social, and their governance-centric activities, based upon the different financial disclosures and European taxonomy with which the filings are carried out every year. We have an indexes business similar to, say, BSE Sensex. We do about 1,000 indexes every year and manage them. We have retirals business, wealth management business, and so on and so forth. Overall, a $2 billion organization. So we cover 99% of the world's market cap from our equity data, which means all the listed companies that put their filings every quarter, put their reports, we collect all the data, make sure it's normalized across global exchanges and global filings, and bring them all to a common theme so that it can be appropriately benchmarked and used, the data gets used properly. Similarly, mutual funds, like I said, close to 1 million mutual funds around the world. So you can see the complexity of the prospectus, of regulations, of languages, and so on and so forth that we have to bring through our system and push them out through the products. So that's also a very important part of our large data pipelines that we have. And the data streams includes all of these, pre-IPO, startup-centric data, equity data, fixed income, mutual funds, commodities, energy, and the real-time markets as well. So in a simplistic sense, when you look at it, you have to download data from various places. You may be doing conversion of that data from one format to the other. You will be carrying out automated translations. You will be doing various annotations to collect that data through a collection tool, applying AI around it, and finally doing your computations to normalize the data appropriately, putting it into a data lake, and finally surfacing it out into the products that you have. And your clients will be either buying subscription for those products, or they are going to be licensing that data to be utilized in their sites. So when you see a lot of robo-advisors in India, behind the scenes, they use Morningstar data specifically for the mutual funds and so on. In reality, the pipeline looks something like this. This is only a partial pipeline for equity. So in a lot of the cases, the data is highly unstructured, or you could have files in various formats, messages, multilingual things, and we also support media. For example, if there is a corporate and they are holding a corporate meeting, they record those sessions, and based upon that, you have to create summarizations and various types of activity using transcription technology as well. And this is getting migrated into Amazon Whisper, and we are seeing some good results. And primary thing is, you not only have to detect the language types, but also the people who are actually speaking and what statements that they actually made. Data comes from exchanges, from websites, from FTP, email, news, government publications, and direct open APIs as well. Now, where does AI and all those things start to fit in, and how did our journey evolve is the topic of this talk. And specifically, our previous pipelines were built on two primary things. One, large-scale regular expressions, highly complex regular expressions that could search through the data, identify and take out the appropriate section, and help a data collection person to actually pull the data out and carry out the modifications. This piece also had, number two, historical data. You know, we have decades worth of data associated with the company, and we do historical checks to make sure that the quality tolerances are fine. So suppose a company will put 1 billion revenue in 2022, and then 2023 they can't have 2 billion or 3 billion unless there is some merger, acquisition, or something like that takes place. So these kind of QCs are also built in. We augmented that initially, which was in, is it moving? In 2018, 2019 timeframe, where the classification of documents was an important theme, data point extraction was an important theme, and the encoding of the documents at that point in time was primarily built on term frequency and independent document frequency type of numbers, coupled with other vectorization models, word-to-vec, glove, and so on, which were used quite heavily. Now, why do I bring this now in today's day when everybody is talking about Gen AI? Because these are lightweight models that can still perform well for you. So today, if you are going with a Gen AI model type of tool, they are relatively expensive to run if you are going to be running even within your own environment. And these are reasonably accurate for us, giving about 96% type of accuracy. But most of the learning that we have had to do, or we have done so far, is in a supervised mode. So let me just play this video, see if it will work. No? Can you kick this off, someone? Which one is it? No, it moves the, it doesn't play. This? I'll take it back. Okay, I mean the videos were a little bit good part because when you keep on talking, it's not very entertaining actually. So is there any way you guys can run it? All right, fine. So primarily what this video is actually trying to say is, how we went about, oh, it started. Please put the sound as well.
Overlapping. To identify and select the right tables, DA spends a lot of time in scrolling through the document. This is an annual report from which DA collects around 225 data points from 9 types of tables. It is difficult for current system to classify this programmatically. The challenge is to identify table types and determine their location for the DA or collection system to use it. Current system gives an accuracy of 27%, which can be scaled up through machine learning approach, which has an edge in identifying these tables and tagging data points to standardized Morningstar IDs. These are the overall steps and detail in the next section of the video. To create the corpus of training data, we use 31,000 instances of 9 table categories to train the model. After numeric representation of the data sample, data scientists tried various classifiers, including random forest, multilayer, perceptron, and few more. And finally, data scientists trained and tuned a linear support vector model that would accurately identify these tables. And we could get 94% of accuracy and stored location offsets to easily access whenever needed. Table classifier as a service is in production on AWS. The table classifier location marking is used in the STEM classified tables, data point identification, and
We can move from that. So primarily what you saw over there is a way initially when we started out, it was more or less, manually data analysts would curate all the data, the sections and tables that would come about, and we'll see some ways how they were converted into actual sections and then mapped into whether some content was actually present in that or not. Later on, we have built our own annotation tool. So as the DA, so we have about 3,000 people working as data analysts that continue to collect this data across the world. And then at the same time, they have been given an annotation tool as well, which continues to capture different themes that the ML models have not gotten yet. And it goes back into the feedback loop so that you can continue to optimize and make sure that you will be training your data appropriately. And there is a framework that has also been built around it, which we call it Freedom Framework. So primarily the idea was to free up the actual ML modelers and trainers and give more of this activity back into the hands of the data modelers as well. So a lot of the data that we download from various sites do not many a times have the content. So just by looking into it or regex parsing it, it doesn't really work. So this auto junking of document also is a very, very important thing that gets carried out. So from simple representations, by 2020 we moved into Allen NLP's Elmo model, which is embeddings from language models, which started the whole thing. And then of course, the transformer generation came in with BERT, and we began to use their embeddings as well. All of this was still built on top of supervised learning. So these are some of the themes that you will see in terms of how some parts of the tables were annotated, how they moved into an appropriate text and then mapped back into what types of tables they actually were, and how we began to process that out. Here we also did one more thing, that we standardized everything into HTML format for our working, for the most part of the firm. Then the annotations become very, very easy. So basically, in the tool, what you're doing is creating a span tag and making sure you are adding a span tag between the area that you would like to annotate. And you can also build your data lineage from that span onto back, whichever place you want. So if our final product in PitchBook would like to do a drill down into where exactly the data came, how it got totaled up or computed to the final point, they can do that as well. And these are some of the sectionings to try and figure out how the data will actually move into whichever area, and this piece takes care of total shares outstanding. While a lot of the themes in today's conference is talking about the Gen AI, but for your own data, these kind of activities will still be very, very important to be able to really understand your data, to take a look at its balance and imbalance and how some things would be coming about, and then finally, how are you going to accurately prompt the generative AI to finally get your results, which we'll see a little bit later. Now we also went into multimodal interaction during this phase with HoloLens and the mobile interfaces along with AI. So a small video on that. Can somebody play this? Will it work?
In this modern digital world, it is more important than ever for advisors to continue to champion their clients. That's why we created the new Morningstar Advisor Workstation smartphone companion app. Morningstar for Advisors modernizes experiences by digitizing portfolio information almost instantly with our intelligent digital assistants, simple capture, crop, and create workflow. With client consent, advisors can access sensitive documents with ease, enabling more secure information sharing in their client relationships without relying on unprotected emails. When advisors can streamline communication with their clients, they can be empowered to spend more time connecting with households, growing their business, and reducing tedious manual tasks. We help advisors more effectively collaborate digitally with Capture, Crop, and Create. Capture, whether advisors are speaking with current clients or prospects in person or virtually, they can simply capture images from single-page or multiple-page statements and in nearly real time, convert those images to real portfolios to later analyze within the companion app or the web version of Morningstar Advisor Workstation. Crop, advisors will then crop the data to focus on the holdings. Create. Advisors can assign the data to an existing client or household, or assign it to a new prospect. They can then use the data to illustrate decision trade-offs with ease, perform certain what-if scenarios, and propose changes to better align to client financial goals. The Morningstar for Advisors app syncs with the web version of Morningstar Advisor Workstation, allowing advisors to easily and securely access their captures when creating client reports, performing analysis, and evaluating client portfolios with our robust research in Morningstar Advisor Workstation. As a companion app designed to be used in tandem with Morningstar Advisor Workstation web application, it is wrapped in the same level of data security your firm has come to expect from Morningstar, ready at any moment. In this modern digital world,
So this began, our journey into the image side of things. Now today everybody will feel that, okay, I can take my camera, take a picture, and even in Excel I will get the data. But the real point over here is that's just a part of the story, but you then have to transport that data and make sure it's available, checked in a very, very secure way. And that's the important theme. And here we are using Amazon's extract models to go ahead and take the image and pull the theme out. Other important thing is the client's bank or the custodian or their logo and their identification of their logos. And this is done by some imaging and convolution in the back so that you can get exactly where the data is coming from as well. And that's a part of the capture, crop, and create workflow that was put out. Now this is another important one where we have a lot of gridless tables that are reported in financial statements. And when you have non-gridded data and you're running through even the best OCR engines like Abby of the world, things don't come appropriately and you cannot automate it. So we have filed in a patent for this also. We basically take the PDF documents, we look at the tables, do an imaging in that, and then basically utilize that images to go ahead and locate it using a YOLO model. And then also we have trained a generative adversarial network to create an appropriate grid around it. So you can, it'll take a long time to explain this, but the patent filing, if they put the PDF out, you can check out the entire PDF, the math behind is listed out there in that filing. And we are using pixel to pixel GAN in there. You have the gridless table, which is on one side, and the GAN generates the grid on it. Then you superimpose it back onto the gridless table, and then when you push it to the OCR engine, you are able to extract the data much better. And that was sort of the 2020 and 2021 era for us. So finally, we begin to move into the whole generative AI space from 2022-23 onwards. We have built Morningstar Mo. I don't have a video of Morningstar Mo at the moment, but you can go to YouTube and check that one out. We have taken a lot of the data and essentially is the retrieval augmented generation theme where we are using a vector store as VV8. So at this point in time, we are also using Microsoft's Azure platform because that is giving us the security which OpenAI did not have earlier. And within the Azure platform, the embeddings for a lot of our knowledge is now stored in the VV8 database. We just picked up VV8 over Pinecone because it was more open source at that point in time. And then finally, all of this can be available through a natural language-based question answering theme. One of the example over here is, how does Morningstar rate the ARK innovation exchange traded fund and the funds piece, and then Mo is going to give you the complete answer in terms of what our criteria are for the ARK funds. Now this will continue to move in various other products that we have. Primarily today, most of us are used to a point and click interface to query or search for some things or compare some portfolios and so on. We are working on changing that into a single bar interface with some criteria, and then also going to be connecting that back into a internet search as well. So you would actually can be sitting on the studio or the advisor workstation and be able to query, okay, what are the top 5 listings in NASDAQ today? And you can get the data straight off the bat from NASDAQ, combine it with your portfolio, and do an analysis out there as well. Along with this, what we have also done in our direct platform is provided a Jupyter Notebook interface with base data as well as some more intelligent querying capability for power users to not just use the product, but also start to do Jupyter-centric analytical activities directly in the product as well. And this helps when we are going to be integrating models from third parties also within our platforms as well. Our data searches are there. I think you would have seen probably quite a lot of them in terms of asking questions and getting some data out there as well. The next piece, I think the reason why I was keen on this talk and bringing the other pieces out is there is a lot of work required on your data, on your documentation, both in terms of compliance and in terms of balancing and making sure that the AI models are working with you properly. So all the techniques or the basics do not get lost over there. You know, whichever themes that you are using in terms of the text sizes, text strings, and balancing your whole input and training data, that will still continue to be very relevant, whether in the supervised training mode or prompt generation mode, whichever way you would like to go it, and that will continue to be very important. In the Gen AI space, we are still trying to assess how much will be the cost of computation, both in terms of the vector store, getting the embedding in, and then querying any large language model, and what will it cost us. So this part is still to be ascertained before we release new and more features around it within the product. For legal and compliance, we now have an AI Tech Council, which is reviewing all the use cases, checking for compliances before even a prototype gets started on it from cost perspective as well. And then beyond that, we will have to see more and more application integration patterns and how they will emerge. Today, we are looking at ChatGPT and all the pre-trained transformer type of networks from a more interactive type of activity. But that will not help us because we are processing millions of documents in a batch mode. We can't really afford interactive, prompt type of capability. We have to build these kind of integration patterns and make sure that they can happen at the back end at a very high speed. So that'll be quite important. And others, we are looking at, trying to build out more Copilot-centric themes or trying to see how that can be integrated within our organization as well. Plus, we continue to have a lot of fun. So I'd like to at least bring that out. This was pre-COVID, but
Welcome
one of my favorite things.
to Morningstar Mumbai Deep Racer Challenge. These are 118 scale RC cars that run fully autonomous thanks to reinforcement learning. Developers will compete for the fastest lap of the day. Globally, 100 teams, 450 employees, 11 locations in 8 countries participated. 17 teams participated from Mumbai. Team Asphalt won the race, clocking 9.36 seconds.
Okay, so keep some fun going in it. That's very, very important. Otherwise, some of these subjects tend to become very dry. That's about all that I have for now, and that has been our 5-year journey onto the NLP world. I can take any questions.
Hey Ravi, that was a great session. So I think it's good that you talked with regular expression first, because I know regular expression is still used extensively in the industry. It's just that we don't talk about it, right? Now, when you are scaling your models from regular expressions to more complex large language models, right? How has been your journey? Because ideally they would take more resources, more money, right? The inference time will also increase, right? How have you managed that transition from simply building from regular expression to more and more complex models? And I think the way the future is, we are going to build more complex models. We're going to use that, right, no matter, what it is, right? So if you could talk about that a little, it would be great, yeah.
See, the way I look at it, if something is working in regular expressions, I'm fine with that. We are trying to tackle the remaining ones. In many cases, there are spelling mistakes in the filing. There are, things that get cut, cropped here or there. At that point of time, the regular expressions begin to fail. Yet at the same time, we continue to build our repository of that knowledge as well, which can be moved to regular expressions, or it could be moved using a cheaper ML model, or it could be taken at an LLM level as well. So those all will exist. Regular expression will be the cheapest and the fastest solution. We have also evaluated an algorithm called Hyperscan. You guys can look into it, invented by Intel. That also runs very fast. To me, these three areas will continue to run in parallel. So it will not go away, and these will continue to augment. Plus, we are also looking at more complex data, specifically industry-specific metrics, or how is the ESG rating of an oil firm or a weapon firm? How do we gauge them? Many of that data is coming in very qualitative terms. Startups, how do you analyze their growth? Quite a lot of that things doesn't come in a very formal statutory way that you can just pick up that data. Their ML will become a lot more important.
Understood. Thank you.
Hello.
Hello. Hi.
That was an insightful session. My question is revolving around the RAG which you are doing, the retrieval augmented. So you have large set of documents which includes not only the text inside it, let's say PDF examples, it includes the tables and the images also.
Yes.
Now some query would be coming which the answer lies on the images. So can you put some insights on while creating the embeddings, does the images works out well?
Right. I think you cannot look at it as a one big database. Like you can look at LLM side and call it a one big thing that can be applied to multiple problems. But when you are doing your vector stores, we cheat a little bit, right? You can take, advisor or a set of documents pertaining to a class of problems and you store them separately. And then the framework will separate out some things initially for you. So you get the embeddings for that type of problem set and store it separately in your RAGDB or the vector DB. And then you can build your context appropriately for that and hit the LLM to change it back to an appropriate answer. So in this case, suppose you are doing financial analysis on the annual report and you'd like to know various operating ratios. So that part will be in a section which you will move in from there. Your ESG part will be in a separate vector store. And you won't be mixing some of those things. Now this is one problem of the RAG area anyway, for which a proposed solution is to use a graph or a network augmenting your RAG embeddings that you have already captured. We have not tried it fully yet, but that way you can have some multi-document or multi-vector store connections as well.
Any thought on choosing the vector store, like Waviate in your case you have chosen?
Yeah, so we didn't really put too much thought on it because we were short of going live this May. So the only reason we took at that point of time to go with Waviate was they were more open source and happy to work with us.
Okay, thank you.
So I don't have the full list on how would I compare with Pinecone, Chroma, and so many have come out. That's a good question.
Hello. Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Yeah, hi.
Oh, hello.
So in one of the
Wear the cap.
yeah, in one of the slide you have mentioned that Abby was not able to extract the gridless tables, right?
Right.
But I know the feature called repeating groups by which you can extract the gridless tables. So how is your patented solution different from this?
Sorry, could you repeat the question again? The
So
last
one of the slide you mentioned, Abby was not able to extract the gridless tables.
Correct.
So there is a feature called repeating groups in Abby that you can use to extract the gridless tables.
What
contents.
was the feature? Sorry.
Repeating groups. Repeating groups.
Okay.
So how is your patented solution different from this?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that feature, but the way we have it in our pipeline is we also use an Abby desktop as well.
Okay.
And at that point of time, if something gets missed out by the batch processing, our data DA can actually utilize the desktop, demarcate things properly and pull it out.
Yeah.
That's what we do, but I'm not sure about this feature of Abby at the moment.
Thank you.
Hello. Good morning, sir. To your left.
Okay, these lights are quite bright, so hard to figure out.
So
Yes, please.
that was really nice presentation, and you mentioned the technical insights as well. But I want an answer to other question. You are now struggling to get the accuracy and all through multiple methods and all.
Yes.
And you just mentioned in some of one of the answer that you have a go live to be scheduled in May or something like that.
Yes.
So there is expectation from internal team who sells the products that there should be a particular accuracy, but we know the technical challenges from the technical team. So how do you balance that demand and what kind of things you are doing?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, many a time some deadlines become very important, but in this case, we were very clear that we were trying to release at that point of time things in an experimental basis, because there was a conference like this going on and the CEO wanted to announce and have a chat at that point in time, which is there in YouTube as well. You guys can check it out. But that was that part, and some of the deadlines will come in, and then you have to have your disclaimer appropriately done. But as we are separating it out and putting the guardrails in, the universe of questions we are still going to control. And that goes through legal and compliance. And we make sure, that things will not go beyond that, so that, the bot does not answer something absurd.
Yeah, and in that case, you must have established a good communication related to accuracy and performance of the things that are expected from the non-technical person.
This one is a little more difficult. There are new methodologies that come in, like rogue score and other types of score. We are still building on that to measure the accuracies of the LLM as per these new metrics. So that framework is currently in the works. So if you go and check for LLM metrics, you'll find a whole set that have come in right now, including one that compares it with humans as well.
Thank you.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah. So.
Sorry, where are you? Okay.
Yeah. So very detailed presentation. You really talked about the real challenges, right, when pre-processing the data. So one question I have on the chatbot is that, so these bots are actually they give you the different answer for the same question, right? So how do you kind of handle that situation? Is there a structure that you provide to in terms of a prompt or a prompt interleaving technique to get a similar format of answer? Like, how do you approach that problem?
Yeah, so this is still a difficult problem to see where it is. That's why I said we are keeping the context highly bounded at a certain point at the moment in terms of what we are going to be giving out from the answers perspective. And here we are slightly fine also compared to what they call hallucinations when you ask generic type of questions, because the RAG area, the whole augmentation and building out the prompt is fully under our control. So you can use that to at least scaffold it quite well.
Sure, thanks. One more question is that, sorry, can I ask the one more question is that, what type of inference engine are you using? It's the transformers or the Hugging Face as TGI?
We are using LangChain and Hugging Face calls anyway.
Okay.
And in the back, it's OpenAI APIs on the Azure platform.
Thanks.
All right, thank you all. Appreciate it.